In today's episode, we're going to talk about what you need to know about IRS tax changes for 2024, and also how learning and development can benefit you, your organization, or your content creation team. Enjoy.
'Cause I'm terrified, there's no more waiting. I'm running out of what comes next. Running through jobs I'm gonna hate. Living paycheck to paycheck. Like my parents and their parents and their parents before them. I should be happy, I have no personal offense. But I've got my encore. I'm back living on their floor.
Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in media and entertainment, finance, investing and insurance, education and e-learning, art, music and the humanities, earth and human sustainability and advancement, along with earth and space exploration and transportation. Our current businesses include 32-Way Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, just to name a few. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it's at Age of Jeremy Q, and on Facebook, it is Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla. If you want to get these podcasts on YouTube, you can get the majority of them on YouTube. Just head on over to Age of Jeremy on YouTube, and then there are also other YouTube videos that are on there that are not just audio. There are links to all of this stuff in the episode description, so make sure that you check it out. If you are new to this podcast, this is all of the trials and tribulations I go through to build my business empire, and I hope you pick up some wisdom along the way. I also have guests that share their trials and tribulations becoming content creators and the adventures they have gone through to become entrepreneurs. Most recently, I interviewed Betty Nuggs, which just released last Friday, so check that out. She's a tattoo artist here in Phoenix, Arizona, and this is her first business that she has started with two other individuals that she met while doing tattooing. It was a fantastic interview, so please make sure to check that out. If you want to see Coach CJV's financial blueprint, there is a link to my link tree in the episode description. It's a warrior's guide to financial freedom, absolutely free, and we are kicking off our 120-day challenge on January 8th, I believe it is. We all go through it together. I'm actually doing a detox right now. Personally, it's a 14-day detox. I thought it was a 30-day detox, but I was wrong. And I'm on day 2, and this guy is kicking my butt. It's called Clean Start. It's by Nature Sunshine, a multi-level marketing company, but they make fantastic herbal supplements. I don't personally right now sell Nature Sunshine, so I'm not trying to get you to sell it. I am just trying to tell you what it does. It is a jump start for cleansing and detoxifying your system, supports the natural cleaning of waste from the body, moves intestinal contents through the digestive system. I can account for that bad boy, and then naturally promotes feeling of energy. I don't have that yet because it is right now kicking my ass because I started it yesterday, and apparently it's just getting everything out of my system. I feel like my lungs and the dripping in my lungs and the cotton mouth that I have, I feel like I was smoking weed all night last night, but that was not the case. And it is just kicking my butt right now. My lymph nodes are draining. I'm using the restroom a lot, so you should really definitely check it out. But if you want to hit it hard with us during our revolutionary 120-day challenge, then make sure that you join the 32-Way Academy or learn more about it in the episode description. Please also join my Q Consolidated channel in my Age of Jeremy Instagram account. I provide extra insights on the things I have going on in my business and in my life. Hopefully you will find some wisdom in it. It is free to join, and I'm working on posting that more and more every single day. But as of right now, I post pretty frequently, but I would like to post even more because I want to make sure that I'm getting wisdom to you all as entrepreneurs or content creators, or just sharing the things that I am learning in my life. So make sure that you check that out. Also, last but not least, Age of Radio. Go to ageofradio.com. See all of the amazing podcast shows we have. We've added 3 new shows: OK Boomer, Killer Lashes, and the Beckett Johnson podcast, or the Beckett podcast. I can never remember exactly what it is. He's going to kill me. But we will have those guys on, all of them probably at some point in time, on our Age of Jeremy interviewing episodes that we are doing, and we are adding more soon. If you have a podcast, reach out to us. We'd love to get you on the podcast network, share with you what we try to do, what we hope to accomplish with it, and that what we are getting better at every single day. So you can also join our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group. Link in the episode description. And the Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group is a place for content consumers and content creators to share their content, share new ideas, learn about stuff. And I really, really enjoy it and I love it. But with that all being said and out of the way, let's go ahead and get started into the content for today's episode. What you need to know about IRS tax changes for 2024. I'm always trying to make sure that I'm seeing what is going on with taxes as we continue to build our Q Financial Tax company with our minimal clients that we have now and growing that. I don't mean minimal I mean because I'm working on growing that and I'm getting into a place to be able to grow that right now. So we are really working towards that. And I want to be a great place for you to come and get tax information while I am not do not like the document portion of a lot of law work. I love tax code. And it's something that fascinates me how the governments get revenue, how the governments utilize that revenue to make our state stronger, something that's always been intrigued with. There was a point in time when I was doing my accounting work that I thought about just going into tax mastery of taxes. And I might eventually do that one day, but I am leaning more back to really study music and musical theory and music academia. But I still love business and I still have all of these. The thing is, you can do a lot of things within the world. You don't have to be pigeonholed into one specific thing. You can have your hobbies that you grow into businesses. You can have businesses that you grow into businesses. So never let people tell you or make you think that there's just one pathway to anything. There are all kinds of things. I use Bruce Wayne's father. I forgot. Man, for the life of me, his name escapes me. But he was a doctor. They had their wealth. They sat on boards. They built businesses. But he was a doctor, I believe, at a hospital, at least in the movie, one of the movies in Batman Begins or whatever. And so it doesn't just because you do one thing doesn't mean you can't do multiple things. There are lots of ways to make money out there and grow. But I want to make sure that we're getting tax information to you as it comes out, and I learn about it. So I always check to see if there's tax information. So this comes from Bloomberg's wealth section in their Bloomberg Business Week under taxes. What you need to know about IRS tax changes for 2024. This is by Belina Cachero. Again, you have to have a subscription. I recommend you get a Business Week subscription just so you can stay up to date on business stuff. Plus, Bloomberg is a pretty good company. I use them. I like a lot of their products that are outside of just Bloomberg Business Week. And so I encourage you to dive in, get a subscription, be a part of that community. And so there's going to be a 5.4% bump in the standard deduction and a boost to the 401k contribution limits. Those are a few of the tweaks to account for inflation that the IRS is going to make for this upcoming tax year. So the Internal Revenue Service recently bumped the income thresholds for its tax brackets by 5.4% for 2024. Its latest adjustment to account for elevated rates of inflation. The move is unlikely to produce a material change on most Americans' tax burdens, according to financial advisors. Rather, it is designed to keep earners in their current tax bracket if their additional income is only keeping up with higher living costs. So the point was that people got raises, but those raises did not make up for the change in living costs. So they're bumping up the tax brackets so that you end up in the same place that you ended up last year. And so when they rate and by bumping, I'm sorry, I don't mean bumping. They're bumping up the thresholds so that you can earn more in certain brackets at the same rate. So one of the things I coach a lot of people, and one of the things that I find is people really don't understand how our tax structure works. So we have a bracketing system between 10% and 37%. So there's different thresholds in the different brackets. So when people say there was someone in the bank once that told CJV that he didn't want the raise because he didn't want to be in a new tax bracket, that it doesn't go for all of the income that's in that bracket. It's not a flat fee across it. It's a stair stepping so that people that make more money get paid, get higher. People that get paid more get taxed more on those portions that are above certain brackets. So for example, the first bracket, its marginal tax rate is 10%. That's from $11,000 or less. So if you make $11,002, only $2 is going to be taxed at the higher percent. Everything up to the $11,000 is going to be at 10%, and that $2 is going to be taxed at 12%. And so there's different thresholds for different areas. So if you want to find out what you have to pay in taxes, you take your amount after your standard deductions or after your deductions and you break them up into those different brackets, times it by whatever that percentage is, and then that's how you get what amount that you will pay. And that's how you do tax planning throughout the year to estimate where you're going to be so you can figure out where your tax burden is going to fall. And so again, this move isn't going to make any substantial change. It's going to keep you essentially where you were last year. A number of the other IRS thresholds have also been raised for next year, including contribution limits on tax deferred retirement accounts, limits on gifts, and estate tax exemptions. So, in income tax changes, the standard deduction or amount that the IRS allows taxpayers to deduct from their income is increasing by 5.4%. That means the figure for single taxpayers and married individuals filing separately will rise to 14,600. So that means that if you make $60,000 and you can't itemize your deductions because they're not more than the $14,600, then you will take $14,600 off of your income, and then that's what you will use to put into those brackets to pay the taxes on. Head of households and married couples filing jointly will increase to 21,900 and 29,200 respectively. In tax year 2024, there will also be a higher income threshold for each tax bracket, meaning Americans will get a grace period before additional income is taxed at a higher levy, which is what I was just explaining ago in the tax brackets. So all of those brackets thresholds went up so that you can have more in those lower brackets as it goes up, as it goes up. Um, so the other thing is retirement accounts. The 2024 adjustments for inflation will also provide an opportunity for savers to contribute more to tax deferred 401k accounts, allowing some to reduce their income tax liability. The IRS hiked contribution limits for 401ks by 500 to 23,000 in 2024 in addition to a $500 bump for IRA contributions. So you can just contribute more so you can get more off of your tax burden. Older workers who can make catch-up contributions on these types of accounts should note the limit did not increase in 2024, however, remaining at 7,500 for 401ks and 1,000 for IRAs. Let me just make sure. I just want to read something here. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so then there's family planning. If you plan to transfer wealth to the next generation, gifts of up to 18,000 will be tax-free for 2024. So if you do gifts to the next generation, 18,000 will be tax-free, up from 17,000 in 2023, and the lifetime estate tax exemption will be 13.6 million, up from the 12.9 million. So when everybody's complaining about the death tax, right? You actually don't start getting taxed until after $3.6 million. So again, it's designed for wealthier individuals. Wealthy taxpayers should take advantage of the higher limits, advisors say, as the Trump era tax cut that doubled the federal estate tax exemption will sunset in 2025, meaning the exemptions will effectively be cut in half. Annual contribution limits for 529 savings accounts meant for a child's education will also increase, so you can get that tax deferment off of those as well. Additionally, starting in 2024, 529 account holders will be able to transfer up to a lifetime limit of $35,000 to a Roth IRA for a beneficiary. So if the next generation changes their higher education plans, the money you saved for college can be used for their retirement instead. And those are the changes that are coming to this 2024 tax changes. Make sure that you consult an accountant. It doesn't preferably have to be a CPA, but you can see a CPA, a tax lawyer, or an enrolled agent, or someone who has been doing the taxes for a while, such as myself. And I'm going to be working on the enrolled agents after I get some insurance stuff handled so that we can represent people in front of the tax system if we need to. That's one of the benefits of being an enrolled agent. That's something that I am very, very adamant about being, because while I believe that we should be giving money to our government to do great stuff, we still have to hold them accountable and we shouldn't let them take advantage of us. So that is something to remember as well. And with that, we will be right back after this short break. All right. So hopefully you heard some amazing ads. If you didn't, it just means that there were no ads to serve you or you have your ad preferences off, which is completely okay. And I appreciate that. My gracious mother reached out to me and she said, I never hear ads when that goes on. So maybe I forgot to put the ads in. I'm not 100% sure. But that being said, We're back, and I wanted to talk today about learning and development. One of the things that I've noticed in our businesses is that we don't have, or I don't have, a systematic approach or a processed approach to getting people to the level that I need them to be for a few reasons. One, time, which is always a small business owner's, biggest caveat or biggest problem is making sure that they have time because they're tending to do something. So I feel that we get caught into, as entrepreneurs or business owners, we get caught into this area where we need to train people and or hire people for skills or train people for the skills that we need so that they can do the things that we need to do, but there's so much happening that we're working on those things and we don't have the time to teach the people to take those things off. And you have to kind of make you kind of have to figure out how to make the time to do that. And so the first thing is figuring out how to make the time to do that, right? And that's just goes back to what I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks is that the strategy starts with your calendar, and the better that we can manage our calendars and the better that we can manage our time, the better that we can strategize what we need to do. And so it's always about putting the big things in first and then filling it up with the little things that may not be moving the businesses forward. And so that's the first problem. The second problem is sacrificing and making a plan of action, maybe not sacrificing, but making a plan of action of how you're actually going to educate them and what things that they need to be educated on. And so while a list is the number one thing that we need to do, we need to have goals of where we're trying to get each and every person. And so it made me think of like how important learning and development is. And if you're new to entrepreneurship or you're a content creator listening to this and you have people around you that you hire for help, having a learning and development plan in place for them in general is very, very important. And again, we don't need to like bombard everything with a bunch of administrative work, but if we can utilize some tools to make sure that we're moving the people around us forward, then I think that that's super, super beneficial. So learning and development is a systematic process to enhance the employee's skills, knowledge, and competencies. And the goal is to result in a better performance in a work setting, but in my opinion, it's also to get them to their actualization or the realization of where they want to be, either in the company or outside of the company. And that's where learning and education in general is very beneficial. And so, learning and development involves the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and attitudes through experience, study, or teaching. And the goal of L&D or learning and development is to develop or change the behaviors of individuals or groups for the better, sharing knowledge and insights that enable them to do their work better or cultivate attitudes that help them perform better. And so we can think of this as just like in a school setting or in a education setting, but we do it from an organizational setting. And again, all of the things that I mentioned in this specific episode is very you can take those same things and apply them to like a family organization, and families should have learning and development goals for themselves and for their children and for their all the people that are part of that tribe or part of that clan. And so if inside of Japanese culture previously, you would have different clans. And so you didn't have to be birthed in that clan to be a part of that clan. You just had a clan that you were tied to depending on your role in that clan, I guess. And so you could be a part of it and then you were part of that family, is a better way to say it. And so like there's probably people that are part of Trump's organization that are close to him that aren't family, but you treat all of them and their family like family because of their loyalty to the clan of, say, Trump. And so that concept, whether you like Trump or not, I just used that for an example because it was the, I don't know, closest thing I could think of as an example for some reason, or like Elon Musk probably has a clan. Um, is that the goal is again to develop them and change them, get them into the behaviors that you want to move them throughout society and how you want to move you throughout society. And so some of the things that can help with like creating a develop learning and development strategy is identifying the learning needs. And that's like really the stage where I'm at right now, trying to think of, so I've brought on two individuals that kind of help me and work under me, but there was no structure in place. I just needed them to help me with stuff. So I was like, okay. And then as I got them moving and going with stuff, I was like, okay, you can help me with this, you can help me with that. And now it's kind of in the place where I need them to do other things and be better at certain things that I need to make sure that they're doing. And so one of those things is identifying the learning needs of what's going on. And so you need to identify the skills and knowledge that employees need or team members need to perform their job effectively. And so this can be done like from organizational standpoint through surveys, interviews, or focus groups. In a larger scale, that makes sense. In a smaller scale, it's just you making a list of like what it is that you need them to be doing and how you need them to be doing it. And then saying, okay, I need to teach them how to do this so then I no longer have to do it. And then it can just be like a cycle of double checking and upkeep to make sure that those things are getting done on a timely manner. And so the first thing obviously is to make a list of those things. So what I did or what I am doing in the process of still doing is sitting down and looking, okay, I have hired my executive assistant, Jalissa. She is helping me with certain things, but there is a skill set that she needs to have. So I am like, okay, I need to teach her how to do this, and this. She needs to understand this, and this in the organization. These are the things that I have that I need her to do. And then these are some of the other things that I need her to do. And then she will be like, okay, I need you to check on this, and this. But she needs to know how to do certain things with certain software. She needs to know how to do certain things within the organization. And that's where I need to have it go. And then on top of that, you can have her set goals of things that she wants to do for herself with inside of the business. The same thing goes with Antonio, who helps me with bookkeeping. There are things that he needs to get better at with bookkeeping. So we need to put in time for him to test and try those things to make sure that those things are getting done so that we are moving forward with everything. And so that's the process of where I am at with some things, is kind of laying out what it is that they need to learn and then figuring out a pathway for them to get there. The second thing is developing learning objectives. So we need to develop clear and measurable learning objectives that align with the identified learning needs. So once we figure out, okay, I need this person to get from this place to this place, what does that look like and what goals can we set to make sure that we are getting there? And so, for instance, like with Antonio, one of the things is making him be able to actively classify transactions in the bookkeeping without second guessing himself, right? So we know what that end result needs to look like. Well, how do we measure it? How do we get that there? And then what can we do to make sure that we're moving that along and that he's meeting those goals? And so we would do that for each set of things that we need to do within the organization with each person to make sure that we are getting them where we need to have them. So first thing is identifying those learning needs, developing those learning objectives. Then the other thing is then you have to design that learning program. And this goes into a little bit more in depth of what you could do. And so I don't necessarily think that at this stage you need to go with all of these things that I'm going to mention, but to kind of have an idea of how you're going to do it. And I'll tell you kind of what I'm doing. So design the learning program that meets the learning objectives. So a lot of the times you can include classroom training, you can build out e-learning things, you can do on the job training, you can do coaching, mentoring, and more. So there's two things that I do that I for what I'm specifically doing to get people up to par with where I want them to be is I do webinar training with them. Okay. And so I have specific time that I say, okay, I need you to come here. I'm going to show you how to do this. And then I also use something like Vimeo or Microsoft Stream, and I record certain things that I need them to do so that they know how to do those things. And then I make sure that they have access to those things so that they know how to do what it is that I want them to do. And when they're able to do that, then that's how they can go back and look at those things. So that's why I like using the webinars and I like using the clips of how to do specific tasks, because if they want to go back and look at it, it's recorded and they can. Now you could get really advanced and really, you could really go hardcore and you could do something like Adobe Captivate, which is e-learning software. You can build out e-learning courses for them. And that makes sense when you have larger scales of people that you need to train. But if you're a content creator or just getting started, making sure that you're setting the time aside, recording those things, and then making how-to videos on how to do things so that they can have those to go back to make sure that they're doing it. I think that works really, really well for the learning program. And then I'll talk about one other thing after this after the fifth bullet point that I have here of things that you can do or how to design this. So again, one, it's identifying the learning needs. Two, develop learning objectives. Three, design that learning program. And then four, makes sense, you're going to implement that learning program. And so implement the learning program by delivering the training to the employees. And again, I do it through the instructor-led training or the webinars or whatever. So after you identify the needs, develop the learning objectives, you design the learning program, and then you implement the learning program. In my case, I will be using Zoom, Vimeo clips essentially, and then stream clips where I can do really quick how-to things, have them available for them to go back and look through. And then you need to evaluate the effectiveness of the learning program. So you can only do this if you've done the first two things, first one, and I guess kind of the first two things, identifying the learning needs and developing the learning objectives, because you need to be able to go back and say, okay, have they been able to progress? So since I've started doing more stuff with Antonio, I can see that there's less and less transactions. He's able to take more and more stuff on. Could it have been in a faster pace? Absolutely. But it is what it is, because of time. And so now I'm able to free up more of my time to do other stuff. And then I just go back and check in on him. So everything kind of becomes like a governance management role. And then you can focus on the high level things that you need to be doing in your business. And if you're a content creator, then maybe that's making the content, and then it's going out to your team to do what they need to do. And then you're going and managing them, and you're teaching them and getting them to where they need to be. Learning and development can be a process of anything. It's just whether or not you want to take the time to make that something that you focus on. And again, there's all kinds of different models and strategies. There's all kinds of academic work that goes into learning and development. It's a branch of education, but from an organizational sense. And so there's all kinds of frameworks that you can go and read about and learn about. But I think that if we can keep it simple, I'm always about keeping it super simple, silly, or KISS. It's really keep it simple, stupid, but I don't like saying stupid. Keep it simple, silly. If we're identifying those objectives, identifying those learning needs, we're developing those learning objectives, we're designing the learning program, we're implementing that learning program, and we're evaluating the effectiveness of the learning program, all those things again has to do with your calendar and making sure that you're setting time for it. So again, strategy starts with your calendar, so make sure that you're setting time for that. The other thing that I'm going to be looking into more, and I'll share this on my YouTube channel as I dive deep into it and how I do it for myself, is Microsoft Viva. Now, Microsoft Viva does cost $10 per person, I think, for the entire suite. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it's more than that. Actually, I have the pricing right here. I'll say it. Microsoft Viva is like community and employee products and services for the engagement with inside the community of your business community. So Microsoft Viva Suite is $12 per month per user. So I don't necessarily if you need to have that for everybody, but I recommend that you trying it out for you. And if those things work, then you add them into your organization. And one of the things too that I tend to do as an entrepreneur is I tend to overdo a lot of these processes, because that's the thing that I do enjoy creating processes. I enjoy creating workflows. I enjoy seeing the structure of the business come together. And that's something that I enjoy more than some of the other things that I do on a regular basis. And so when I'm able to come across cool products and services that can implement that and create that, I love doing those things. It's just then, unfortunately, making sure that it's not a waste of time and you're utilizing them. But essentially, Microsoft Viva has a product called Microsoft Viva Goals, and Viva Goals allows you to create the goals and objectives and key results. It's like a management solution that helps you set business goals and align teams to the organization's strategic priorities, and it helps you drive those results. And so there's all kinds of great things about defining success. You can align your teams together, you can connect to the work that you're doing to specific outcomes that are going on. So even if you spent the $12 on yourself, right, and got it just for you, it still might be worth it, because then it's a way for you to manage your goals from an organizational setting. And again, as if you all know, I love Microsoft products and Microsoft stuff. So it should be no surprise that I'm offering a Microsoft product. But one of the things that Microsoft does really well is it integrates into each other, one, and then two, they create products and services for business organizations. And I like that better than corporations, because everything's not a corporation. They can be organizations, and they do really, really, really well. So again, Viva Goals is it's only part of the Viva Suite, which is $12. But I think I'm going to set it up just so I can see exactly what it does, because I don't think you can buy these one off. I don't think so. Let me see. Yeah, you can't buy them one off. So I'm going to check out Viva Suite, I think, and then see what I can do with it. Because I think that having a clear expectation of those goals for myself, and then I can even do that for the team members inside of that to see where I want them to be, because there's all kinds of learning and development that we need to get going for not only in Age of Radio, 3-2 Warrior Academy, and in Q Financial, and then for my personal people that help me with stuff like Jalissa. So there is a lot of stuff that we're getting going. And I think that learning and development can be a key part of your business. You just need to, again, as a recap, set up those. You need to identify the learning needs. You need to develop the learning objectives. You need to design the learning program. You need to implement the learning program and then create a way to evaluate the effectiveness of the learning program. And I think Microsoft Viva can help with some of that, but I'm going to check that out. And then I will definitely 100% share that with you as well. So that being said, as we always say, remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.
The corner store is selling spring, bottled up food profit. I can't believe I'm buying in. Isn't that genius?
Thank you so much for tuning into the Age of Jeremy. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast. Give it a 5-star rating or any rating if your podcatcher allows you to, and make sure to share it with someone special to you or just share it with someone in general. The opening song was Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs. The closing song was Threatening Each Other Recapitalism by Illuminati Hotties. I love to use Neumann microphones. That's what I'm talking into right now. I use the Zoom L8. I record to Cubase, and I use Waves plugins. That being said, one last time, Namo Amida Butsu. Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you next time. Bye.